to Week in Review. I'm Tom Vasel, and this is a video where we go back over the last week and tell you about the games that we've played and reviewed, give you a short summary of each. You want to know more? Click the link below, see the full video. Here we go!
Hey everybody, Zhi Garcia here. So over the last couple of weeks, I've reviewed a few things. Here we go. I reviewed Montana expansion called Longhorns, which I rate an 8 out of 10. And I think it's a great expansion. I would say this is one of those few expansions I feel is almost necessary to make the game a little bit crunchier, but just to give it more longevity, to give you more interesting choices. I thought the game originally was good, but it could become repetitive quickly. With this expansion, you're going to get a lot of more life in your product. So Montana Longhorns is a great expansion. I reviewed another expansion to Neuroshima Hex, the latest, Sand Runners. Sand Runners also rate an 8 out of 10. This is going to become a trend momentarily, me rating things an 8 lately. It's been a good couple weeks. And Sand Runners is neat. The theme I thought was weak, but the gameplay was solid. And it has the ability to trigger fights now by not just discarding a token, but actually placing a token on the map and blocking a spot where no fighting will happen and no shooting through that spot, breaking line of sight. Really neat stuff. It kind of turns the gameplay on its head a little bit with almost no rules getting in the way of that. So that's fantastic. I reviewed Beasty Bar, Born to be Wild. This is the third set in the Beasty Bar line. I also rate this an 8 out of 10. And I liked this one quite a bit. I thought the powers were interesting, but not too complicated. I like it better than the second set, actually. The first one's great. This new one is great. The second one was good. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend it. If you've got already some of the Beastie Bar content, you want to mix it up, you can get this. But even if you haven't played any of them and you want an interesting card game with unique powers, this is a good spot to jump into it. Because I think it's going to give you the charm of the system without being too complicated, but, but a lot of interesting tactical reactions, that sort of thing. And then lastly, I reviewed a game from publisher Saashi and Saashi called Remember Our Trip. Again, 8 out of 10 from me. Really interesting game. This is a tile-laying game in which the players are collectively sort of remembering a trip they took. You're going to be drafting tokens, tiles. You'll be placing those in your own board, but you are also together reconstructing a central board that represents the actual city you visited. The trick here being, if I fill in restaurants on my own board somewhere, and those spots, that location is not yet represented in the center board, well then guess what? It was restaurants, because I remembered it earlier. And you'll score bonus points if that's the case. It's clever, it's quirky, it takes a little bit of getting used to it, but I really liked it. I thought it was a great game, extremely fast also. I like what Saashi and Saashi does, which is usually something a little off the beaten path, and this game certainly has its own personality and ideas. So there you go. That's it for me. A lot of 8s. Good games. Keep them coming. I'm Zhi Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.
And for me, first of all, I have Ausser, Rand, and Bond. Not sure if I'm saying that properly. It is a kid's game about a conveyor belt that drops dice off. Sounds really cool. Unfortunately, too complex, I think, for kids, and too lucky for everyone else. Destroyer of Words. This is a Scrabble game where you can attack other pieces with your own pieces. Actually, it's almost unreadable with the font that they used, and it's very, 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 very random. S'mores Wars. I wanted to like this one more than I did. It's really a cool game, looking game, I mean. I like s'mores and everything. But it's essentially just a big convoluted rock, paper, scissors. For the mass market, it might work well, just didn't really work for me. The Coldest Night. This is one I thought was okay. Unfortunately, it has almost no replayability. You play it, I mean, it's going to be replayable and that the deck is shuffled differently each time, but it's the same thing. Interesting theme, though. The King of Bards. This one has amazing component value, but it's a lot of take that and very lucky dice rolling. I didn't mind it. It's kind of like a guilty pleasure. You kind of like the parodies of the songs in it, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't say it's a good game. Inner Compass. This is from AEG. This one may very well be a good game if I woke up during it to figure it out. It's really boring. It's an abstract game, an interesting theme, but the theme's not there, and it's kind of just place pieces out, move them around. AEG very rarely misses with their games. This is one for me. Dice Upon a Time. This game is marketed at kids, I think. Really cool components, once again. As you move around the board collecting things, very lucky though. Just lots of luck as you roll these dice. A cool concept that's not as neat in practice as it was in theory. Mini Miners. This is a game about mining. Some interesting ideas here, but essentially you're going through a mine and then there's like ability after ability after ability. And I feel like it's too convoluted for how simple the game actually is. It's a push your luck game, but you got to check like 4 different things. War of Whispers. Component quality is not as good as I like it to be, but the concept is neat, and it's just a fun game. As you are powers behind the thrones, in a sense. There's 5 kingdoms fighting, and you make them fight. Good concept. In the Hall of the Mountain King. Some of the best components I've ever seen. And a really cool pyramid resource management system, which is just unbelievable. Then you're mining mines and stuff. Really well put together game. Burnt Island Games is still just at the top of their game. Fantastic. And the Isle of Cats. This is Tetris, or basically different Tetris shapes. and you're using them and you're drafting cards to get them. It's easy for people to play. It's easy for people to get into, but there's a lot going on. Really enjoyed this one. We also did a crowd surfing looking at Kickstarter games. We did a playthrough of Enchanters. We had a fun board game breakfast live. If you missed those are a lot of fun with special guest Rodney Smith. And then Rodney Smith joined us for our top 10 upcoming games from 2020. Lots of fun, lots of cool videos. Check them out. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. This is Week in Review on the Dice Tower.